It's a new season, and if you're a Chicago Bears fan, it's time to lock in, because what's coming up is going to test your heart rate, your patience, and maybe, just maybe, reward your loyalty with a playoff berth. After a long offseason full of changes, trades, and new faces, we've finally got a full picture of the Bears' schedule. So let's do this. Game by game, win by win, loss by loss. Let's see if this team can actually get to January football. It all kicks off at home in a massive divisional showdown on Monday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. You couldn't script a juicier opener. J.J. McCarthy making his first NFL start under the lights in Chicago, while Ben Johnson makes his head coaching debut for the Bears. This game has storyline written all over it, and you can feel it. The Bears have to get this one. You got a rookie quarterback on the other side, first NFL action on the road in primetime. This is where the defense needs to feast. Ben Johnson has had all offseason to prepare for this game, and while McCarthy might flash here and there, he's still a rookie walking into Soldier Field. The Bears grind out a tight one, maybe a little ugly, but a win is a win. Chicago starts 1-0. Week 2, though, reality check. A trip to Detroit to face the division favorite Lions, who are looking to defend their NFC North crown. Now, initially, you might have circled this as a revenge game for Ben Johnson, who, let's not forget, came over from the Lions. But let's be real. Ford Field is one of the toughest places to play when Detroit is rolling, and this is a loaded team. I had the Bears winning this one early in the offseason, but I'm walking that back. Detroit's too good, too physical, and this feels like one of those games where Chicago is reminded they're still climbing. Bears drop this one, 1-1. Then comes Dallas in Week 3. And this one got a whole lot more interesting after the Cowboys made a shocking trade, sending Micah Parsons to Green Bay. That changes everything. The Bears are at home, facing a Dallas team without one of the most dominant defensive players in football. Yes, the Cowboys still have a strong core, but no Micah? That swings the pendulum a bit. And let's not ignore the emotional edge. Matt Eberflus gets a shot at his old squad. That matters. So what happens? The Bears pull it off, 2-1. Not a statement win, maybe, but a tone setter. This team isn't here to roll over. Week 4, the last one before the bye, and it's a road trip to face the Las Vegas Raiders. This is where things get tricky. Vegas might not be a playoff team yet, but they've quietly gotten better. There's real energy around that franchise now, with Pete Carroll in the mix, John SBYCH running things, and Geno Smith back under center. Add in the wild card of Ashton Janney and a home crowd that's always loud. This is a dangerous spot. The Bears are coming off a big win. They've got the bye coming up, and this feels like one of those trap games where the young roster slips. How about the Raiders taking this one? So, it's a 2-2 start heading into the break. And honestly, you take that. You split the NFC North games, you grab a win over Dallas, and even if the Vegas game stings a little, you're in a decent spot. 2-2. Regroup, rest, and come out firing. Coming out of the bye, it's Monday Night Football again. This time, on the road in Washington, and it's a revenge game in every sense. If this team isn't fired up for this one, after what happened against the Commanders last year, then I don't know what will light the fire. 15 days between games, bodies rested, minds sharp, and Ben Johnson with time to scheme. That's a formula you like. Tariq Stevenson and the rest of the secondary should be ready to go. And while Washington's defense has some pieces, their offense doesn't scare you. Bears win it. They're 3-2. Week 6 brings the New Orleans Saints to Soldier Field. And let's just say it. This is the kind of game good teams don't lose. Caleb Williams versus Spencer Rattler. A little Oklahoma QB reunion from way back when. But this isn't college anymore. The Saints are a mess. Maybe not the worst team in the league, but they're absolutely in that bottom tier. If you're going to make any noise this season, this has to be a win. And I think it is. Bears move to 4-2. But then comes the real test, a road trip to face the Baltimore Ravens. This is, without a doubt, one of the toughest games on the calendar. Lamar Jackson, an elite defense, and a team with real Super Bowl expectations. The Bears might hang around for a half, maybe even flash some of that Kayla magic. But over 60 minutes, the Ravens are just a better team. Baltimore takes this one. Bears drop to 4-3. And right after that, no time to breathe. It's off to Cincinnati to face Joe Burrow and the Bengals. But here's where I zig a little. While Baltimore is just too much, I actually like the Bears in this one. The Bengals' defense isn't what it used to be. They've got pieces, sure, but they can be exposed, especially if you can neutralize Trey Hendrickson, which, easier said than done, but if you do, the rest of the defense doesn't scare you. The Bears can win a shootout here. I've got them bouncing back, outscoring Burrow, and getting back over 500. 5-3 through 8 weeks. Now we're talking. Week 9 is another home game, this time against the New York Giants. And look, New York isn't as bad as people think, but they're also not a team that should come into your building and walk away with a win if you're trying to make the playoffs. Could this be a letdown game after the Cincinnati win? Sure, but I think the Bears stay focused, handle business, and grab win number 6. 6-3, and that's when things get real. Week 10 at Minnesota. This time, it's J.J. McCarthy with nearly 10 starts under his belt. He's more comfortable. The Vikings are at home, and we all know how tough U.S. Bank Stadium is to play in. Sweeping a divisional opponent is never easy, especially one with a rising young quarterback who's already faced you once. I've got the Bears losing this one. They split with Minnesota. 6-4. Then it's a marquee matchup. Aaron Rodgers, likely for the last time at Soldier Field. And come on, it's time. The Bears have to end this. Rodgers has haunted this franchise for far too long. This is the chance to send him packing. And in front of the home crowd, with playoff hopes very much alive, I think Chicago gets it done. 7-4. Rodgers walks off that field, maybe for the final time, and it's the Bears who are smiling. But just when things are looking up, the schedule punches back. It's a short week. It's Black Friday, and it's the Philadelphia Eagles on the road. You want a reality check? That's it right there. The Eagles are a complete team, and catching them on a short week during a holiday in their house, that's tough. Chicago drops this one, 7-5, and now the margin for error is shrinking. Still, look at that recent 5-game chunk. Bengals, Giants, Vikings, Steelers, Eagles. Not exactly a cakewalk, but if you can come out of that at 3-2, you're doing all right. You're right in the mix. Then it's the final stretch. Let's go back and think about some of those pivotal games. The win over the Vikings in Week 1, with J.J. McCarthy making his debut in prime time, that's a tone setter. McCarthy looked overwhelmed. The Bears' pass rush made life difficult for the rookie, and while the offense wasn't perfect, Caleb Williams showed enough flashes to keep hope alive. Then the early gut check loss to Detroit. That was expected and honestly a necessary reality check. You learn more from losing to the best than you do by skating past average teams. And Detroit, at this point, is still the bar in the NFC North. The Bears didn't match them yet, but that doesn't mean they can't. The Dallas win was the first big sign of life. That's when fans started to believe this team was different. Then, heading into the bye at 2-2, you had that tricky Raiders matchup. Chicago lost that one, sure, but the fact they came back and beat Washington with extra time to prepare showed maturity. Coming out of the bye with energy and execution, that's coaching. That's preparation. That's a young team taking steps forward. And then came the Saints. The game itself wasn't flashy, but it was one the Bears absolutely had to win. If you let a bottom-tier team like that hang around, you start doubting yourself. Instead, the Bears took care of business. No drama. No nonsense. Just a clean win at home. That brought them to 4-2, and suddenly, the buzz was building. But then came Baltimore, and the Bears got punched in the mouth. That game wasn't close. Lamar Jackson made the defense look silly at times. It was a humbling moment. But what really mattered wasn't the loss. It was what happened next. The team rebounded, traveled to Cincinnati, and outdueled Joe Burrow in a shootout. That's not something you expect from a team with a rookie quarterback and a first-year play caller. But Caleb stood tall. The offense clicked, and Chicago stole one on the road. The home win over the Giants the following week solidified the momentum. That was win number 6. Now we're in the second half of the season, and every game feels like it carries double the weight. The loss at Minnesota felt inevitable. You weren't going to sweep that team, not with McCarthy gaining experience. But splitting with the Vikings is a respectable outcome, and it kept the Bears afloat in the wild card race. Then came the Rodgers game. his last stand in Soldier Field. And Bears fans finally got the moment they've waited years for. A win, a meaningful one, a game that pushed them to 7-4 and proved the page was officially turning. It's not just about beating Aaron Rodgers. It's about exorcising the ghost that's loomed over the franchise for far too long. That game wasn't just a win. It was a symbolic shift in the rivalry. But right after the celebration came another dose of reality. The Black Friday game in Philadelphia was brutal. Short week, on the road, holiday weekend, against one of the most physical teams in the league. The Bears got outclassed. But again, it was one of those take your lumps and move on losses. You regroup. You don't panic. And that's exactly what they did. The final 5 weeks were a true test. You could argue they were facing their most important stretch of the year. The schedule: Packers, Browns, Packers again, 49ers, and the Lions. That's not exactly a walk in the park. But the way this team handled it showed their growth. They lost the first Green Bay matchup at Lambeau. Understandable, especially after the Parsons trade. But they came home the next week and handled the Browns. That was a must-win. Can't afford to trip up in December against a team that might not even know who their quarterback is. The Bears handled business, got to 8-6, and the confidence was building again. Then came the second Packers matchup, this time at home. A shorter week, sure, but the team was locked in. They knew what was on the line, and they weren't going to let Green Bay sweep them again. This was the prove-it game, and they delivered. Caleb made plays. The defense held strong, and the Bears improved to 9-6 with just 2 games left. And then the trip to San Francisco. On paper, this looked like the toughest game of the year. West Coast, primetime, late December. But the schedule god smiled on Chicago. The Niners had played Monday night on the road in Indianapolis. The Bears had a full extra day of rest. And sometimes, when margins are razor thin, those details matter. The Bears played one of their cleanest games of the year and shocked the Niners on their own field. 10-6. Playoff spot within reach. The finale, back home against the Lions, was always going to be difficult. Detroit needed the win to clinch the division. The Bears, already at 10 wins, were still jockeying for seeding. But as much as you wanted the Bears to finish with a win, Detroit just had more firepower. They're built for these kinds of games right now. Chicago put up a fight, but ultimately, the Lions completed the sweep. Still, the Bears finished at 10-7, a massive step forward for a franchise that's been stuck in the mud for too long. And now we look ahead. Caleb Williams proved throughout this season that the moment isn't too big for him. He had his growing pains, no doubt, but he also had flashes of brilliance. Pocket awareness, arm talent, leadership. He didn't just play like a rookie. He played like a franchise guy learning in real time. There were mistakes, but there were also moments where you just sat back and said, that's why we drafted him. And when your rookie quarterback plays like that, the entire building starts to believe. Ben Johnson, too, showed why he was one of the most coveted coaching candidates last offseason. His offensive vision gave this team an identity it sorely lacked. The creativity in the red zone, the balance between run and pass, the way he adapted week to week, that's what separates coaches in this league. He wasn't perfect, but for a first-year head coach, he looked the part. And let's not forget about the defense. It had its ups and downs, but when the unit was healthy and clicking, it looked fast, physical, and aggressive. Tariq Stevenson continued to grow into a lockdown role. The pass rush, while inconsistent early on, started to gel in the second half. The linebackers played with speed and instinct, and the team tackled better than it has in years. Of course, there's still room to grow. 2-4 in the division isn't good enough. You have to at least split if you want to challenge for the top of the NFC North. The Bears got swept by the Lions. That's the next mountain. They split with the Vikings and the Packers. Progress, but not dominance. That's where the improvement needs to come. You also need to win more of those big road games. Baltimore and Philadelphia were wake-up calls. To win in the playoffs, you have to win tough road games in hostile environments. You need to be able to play from behind. You need to make halftime adjustments. These are the finer points that separate playoff contenders from actual Super Bowl threats. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Marcus Williams, the electrifying talent who has dominated headlines across the NFL for his uncanny ability to read offenses and make game-changing plays, is reportedly on the verge of joining the Chicago Bears. And the rumor mill is already running wild with speculation about what this move could mean for the franchise. According to insiders who prefer to remain unnamed, the Bears management has been in quiet, intense discussions for weeks, assessing not just Williams' skill set, but his fit within a defensive scheme that has struggled to find consistency over recent seasons. Fans across Chicago have taken to social media with an almost feverish excitement, imagining Williams patrolling the field in the iconic navy and orange, turning potential big plays by opposing teams into highlight reel interceptions and tackles. Analysts suggest that the acquisition of a player like Williams could signal a shift in the Bears' strategy, moving towards a more aggressive, turnover-focused defense that can change the momentum of a game in seconds. The excitement extends beyond the defensive line and backfield. Offensive coordinators and coaches are reportedly devising strategies to maximize his presence, whether it's through simulated schemes in practice or adjusting coverage responsibilities across the roster. While nothing has been officially confirmed, the mere possibility has set off a cascade of speculation, debates, and hopeful projections from both local and national media outlets, creating a buzz that seems impossible to contain within the usual channels of sports reporting. Rumors suggest that Marcus Williams' potential arrival in Chicago could have implications far beyond simply bolstering the team's defensive roster. Coaches and strategists are already hypothesizing how his ability to anticipate plays might influence game plans, particularly in high-stakes matchups against divisional rivals. There is talk that his presence might give the Bears a psychological edge, allowing teammates to play with more confidence and a sense of security knowing a player of his caliber is patrolling the secondary. Some insiders are hinting that negotiations are entering a critical phase, with Williams' agents reportedly holding meetings to discuss contract terms, performance incentives, and long-term vision within the organization. Meanwhile, fan forums and social media platforms are flooded with debates, mock lineups, and highlight reels as supporters try to envision how Williams' leadership and on-field intelligence could transform a defense that has been inconsistent in recent campaigns. Speculative reports are even suggesting that his arrival could influence draft strategies, free agent pursuits, and salary cap decisions, as the Bears look to construct a team capable of sustained success. While some caution that these reports remain speculative, the mere presence of such chatter has sparked a frenzy of anticipation, fueling countless conversations in sports bars, living rooms, and online comment sections, all centered around the tantalizing idea of Marcus Williams in Bears colors. The timing of this rumor could not be more tantalizing for Chicago Bears fans, who have endured seasons of fluctuating performances and close calls, leaving supporters desperate for a spark, a defining player who can shift the narrative and bring renewed hope to Soldier Field. Sources whisper that Williams' potential integration into the squad might encourage younger players to elevate their games, inspired by his reputation for intensity, discipline, and an unyielding work ethic. Coaches are reportedly evaluating not only his on-field impact, but also his locker room presence, debating whether his competitive nature could galvanize a group in need of cohesion and leadership. Analysts are speculating on how this move could redefine divisional matchups, particularly against historically challenging opponents, with Williams' presence potentially altering both offensive and defensive schemes league-wide. Sport columnists are poring over past game film, dissecting every interception, tackle, and forced turnover, attempting to project how his unique style could fit with Chicago's defensive formations. Meanwhile, online polls and discussions suggest a surge in fan optimism, with some predicting that his arrival might even have ripple effects on ticket sales, merchandise, and overall team visibility. Amid the mounting rumors, the energy in Chicago seems almost tangible as conversations shift from mere hope to strategic speculation, with each report further fueling the idea that the Bears are on the cusp of a transformative moment in their franchise history. Insider speculation indicates that Marcus Williams' rumored signing could trigger a domino effect in the NFL, with rival teams watching Chicago's moves closely, ready to react to any shifts in defensive dynamics. Analysts are dissecting potential scenarios in which Williams' ability to disrupt opposing offenses might influence not only game outcomes, but the tactical decisions of opposing coaches, who may need to adjust their passing strategies, formation reads, and play calling to account for his presence. Adding to the swirling excitement, there's a growing narrative that Marcus Williams' potential arrival might redefine the identity of the Chicago Bears franchise itself, shifting public perception from a team in rebuilding mode to one aggressively pursuing championship contention. Rumors indicate that Williams' combination of speed, awareness, and versatility could allow defensive coordinators to implement more complex schemes, creating opportunities for increased turnovers, disrupted passing lanes, and game-changing momentum swings. Behind closed doors, league insiders suggest that this move could also influence player retention, as existing team members gauge the franchise's commitment to building around top-tier talent, potentially fostering a renewed sense of loyalty and ambition. Fan communities are abuzz with speculation, creating elaborate mock scenarios where Williams' interceptions or forced fumbles directly lead to victory in pivotal games, imagining playoff implications and even Super Bowl dreams. Some speculate that his presence could enhance marketing campaigns, community outreach, and local engagement, adding a cultural and social dimension to what initially appears as a purely athletic acquisition. Even without official statements, the rumors alone have created a ripple effect across the NFL, impacting media coverage, fantasy league projections, and social media engagement, as the possibility of Marcus Williams joining the Bears sparks both fervent debate and hopeful anticipation, painting a vivid picture of a franchise on the brink of a potential turning point in its storied history. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.